So welcome back, guys. So now in this session, let's finish off insurance accounts. Insurance accounts is a very nice topic, a small topic, what you have in IPCC Group 2. Fairly speaking, there is too much of quantum wise, there is too much of subject to be discussed. However, from the past exam trend, if you see, there are very limited questions which are being asked every now and then. Though you have multiple ways of questioning possible, only few small identified aspects are only being tested. Reason is very simple. Other aspects what can be tested are formats. There is no real knowledge being tested. It's all about memory skills which is supposed to be tested if they ask for financial statements. So that's the reason why financial statements wise they are not being tested. Instead, small intrinsic areas are being tested in insurance accounts. Okay, so what we will do now is we will go through the what's concept wise what is there in insurance companies accounts, and then we will get into few problems what are identified to be important. Okay, so with this intro, let's start with insurance company accounts. I'll explain over the screen first, please see. Then we will get into problems. Okay, then we will get into the problems. Now, in the insurance accounts, insurance companies are basically those companies which are under the regulation of IRDA, that is Insurance Regulatory Development Authority. Insurance Regulatory and Development Authority. IRDA, along with insurance guidelines, along with the insurance guidelines which are given by central government, the insurance companies are supposed to operate. Okay, since insurance has got some amount of indemnity to be borne by them, okay, on behalf of the insured, the rules and regulations are little stringent when compared to any other company. Okay, similar to a banking company, even for insurance company there are separate set of rules and regulations which are given by IRDA. Now, your insurance companies can be broadly classified into two types. One is called as a life insurance company. Okay, life insurance company. Don't think that it is LIC alone. Any life insurance company. Second is called as a non-life insurance business, non-life insurance company. Okay, that means businesses in an insurance company broadly categorized into two. One which is life insurance, second is called as non-life insurance. Okay, this non-life insurance can be further categorized into three categories. Number one, fire. Second, marine, and third is called as general. These are the three types of insurances what you have in non-life insurance business. Okay, life insurance indicates it is either a life policy or an endowment policy which is generally sold by life insurance companies, whereas non-life insurance you have got multiple types of insurances. Number one, fire. That means your goods or various properties can be protected against fire. Okay, and then marine indicates if at all your goods are being moved under cargo, okay, as cargo, in such case you go for marine insurance when they move, the goods are being shifted from one place to another. And third, general insurance. General insurance, under this there are multiple categories of insurance which fall. You have medical insurance, then vehicle insurance, or any other insurances are generally something which fall under general insurance. Okay, so broadly these are the categories of insurances which we have. Okay, now your accounting with respect to insurance companies is dependent on this categorization. So for a life insurance business, you have financial statements which are supposed to be prepared. That is, you have a P&L account. I'm first telling you in layman language, then we will get into the technicalities. There is a P&L account and a balance sheet which are prepared for life insurance business, and also for general insurance business also you have P&L and balance sheet. You have P&L and balance sheet. Okay, now P&L under insurance language, in insurance language is called as you have two parts in this P&L. One is called as technical account. Second is called as shareholders funds account. That is basically nothing but the balance P&L account. What does technical account means? It is basically your policies sold, and what is the amount of gross profit you have made in your policies. If you talk in a layman language, you have something called trading P&L account. No, in normal business, in trading P&L account, you can divide them into two parts. One is trading account, second is P&L account. What will be contained in trading account? Your direct business, that is your main operating income and operating expenses are considered in trading account. In P&L account, you take other expenses. Yes or no? Same logic bring into insurance business. Technical account is the name which is given by the IRDA for trading account in insurance companies. And other account is the other shareholders account is what I call as P&L account. Okay. So technical account is supposed to be prepared, and P&L account is supposed to be prepared for life insurance business. And at the same time, for general insurance also, there is requirement of technical and P&L account to be prepared for general insurance. Okay. Now, while I state technical and P&L is to be prepared for life insurance business and general insurance business. If a general insurance company has got, that is non-life insurance company has got all the three, that is you have fire, you have marine, and also general. If you have all the three businesses, in such case, you are supposed to prepare three technical accounts. That is each technical account for fire, a separate technical account for marine, a separate technical account for general insurance business, and only then prepare P&L account and balance sheet. Okay. So this is what supposed to be done when we prepare financial statements of insurance companies. Okay. Now, having said this, there are few important terminology to be discussed. Let us first understand that. If we are done with it, we can go ahead with problems. Okay. The first one is types of life insurance policies. Generally, there are three types of policies in life insurance. One is called as whole life policy. Okay. Second is called as term insurance policy. And third is called as annuity policy. Now, what does whole life policy mean? That means as long as a person is alive, he keeps paying the premium. On death of a particular person, his family members or whoever be the nominee gets a lump sum money. Okay. Then you call it as whole life policy. What does a term life policy mean? So you keep paying for a specific term. After the specific term is done, maybe on maturity you get some money, or else if death happens prior to maturity, even in such case you get money. What does annuity policies mean? These are basically policies which have some special features, like you will be paying X amount in the beginning, or for 5 years you pay, later on don't pay. In between, if something goes wrong, you would be paying money. Some policy special features would be there. In such case, you call them as annuity policies. Okay. So these are the three types of insurances which are possible in life insurance business. Now, apart from this, there are few more terms to be understood. Insurer. Whom do you call the insurer? It is basically the insurance company. Whom do you call the insured? Insured is the individual who takes the insurance policy. Okay. Next, what does policy amount mean? Policy amount mean? Policy amount means the value for which I am taking insurance. Value of insurance taken. Okay. Number 5, premium amount. What does premium amount mean? Premium means basically amount to be paid on frequent intervals. Okay. Intervals. Okay. These are what we call as premiums. Okay. Next, number 6, surrender value. What does surrender mean? First of all, surrendering means, for example, I have taken a policy for 10 years. Okay. I have taken a policy for 10 years. Say it is a term insurance policy. In between, at the end of 5th year, I felt I will not be in a position to continue paying the premiums for the next 5 years. And hence I have gone to my insurance company and told that, look, I am no more in a position to pay the policy premiums. Instead of continuing the policy, let me surrender the policy. That means you need not bear the risk. You need not bear the risk. And at the same time, for the monies which I have invested with you all these years, you would have made some returns. No, you take some expenses, whatever you have incurred. Okay, balance amount you pay me back. In such case, whatever the insurance company calculates and gives me is what I call as surrender value. Is what I call as surrender value. That means he would say, for example, I have invested in the first 5 years. Every year 1 lakh is what I have invested. So by end of 5 years, my investment value is 5 lakhs. The amount of premium what I paid is 5 lakhs. Out of this, I have asked my insurance company to take off all the charges which he has incurred and pay only the balance amount to me. So for example, there is commission which is incurred by insurance company for 2 lakh rupees. Deduct that. Say there is some interest earned on my investment. Say 3 lakhs is the amount of earnings which it has earned. Add it. Then there are some expenses incurred with respect to the insurance. What are the expenses incurred? Say for example, 50,000 is the amount of investment portfolio management charges. Deduct that 50,000. So like this, over 5 years, there are some amount of cost which is incurred by the insurance company on my 5 lakh rupees invested. Take off all that cost. On taking off all that cost, whatever is left over, that is what will be paid by insurance company to me, which I call as surrender value. Say here surrender value is going to be 5,50,000. Okay, 5,50,000. I'm just giving an example. Doesn't mean really by investing 5 lakhs you get 5,50,000. No. Okay, I'm just giving an example. Next. Number 7. There is something called benefits paid. What are benefits paid? Okay, there are something called claims paid. Okay, now benefits is a word which is used under life insurance business, and claims paid is something, a word used under other non-life insurance business. Non-life insurance business. Okay, now why is it called as benefits paid in life insurance business? Why is it called as claims paid in non-life insurance business? If you observe carefully, in a life insurance business, there are few policies in which during the life of the insurance holder, there could be some monies which are paid back to the insurance policy holder. But when it comes to non-life insurance policy, there is no such concept. Why is it? Because if you insure a particular product, for fire, or you have insured a marine cargo, okay, or you have taken some general insurance, there is only settlement made to the policy holder for the amount of loss. That means Only when I go to the insurance company and tell that I have a damage to my product because of fire, or I have a damage to my goods in the marine insurance while in transit, they got spoiled. I have a damage to my health. There is an accident which has happened. Hence, I'm taking this Mediclaim. Okay. So for various reasons, unless a claim is made by the participant, that is the policy holder, no monies will be paid back to the individual by general insurance companies, that is non-life insurance companies. However, in case of life insurance companies, on completion of maturity, there is possibility of benefit to be paid. There is possibility of benefit to be paid back by insurance companies. Hence, in life insurance business, we call benefits are paid, and in case of non-life insurance business, claims are made and claims are paid. Okay, so this is the difference between what type of claims or benefits are going to be paid by various insurance companies. Next, ninth important word which you should know is co-insurance. What does co-insurance mean? Co-insurance means, I'll give you an example. For example, I am a company in which I have 1 lakh employees. I'm just giving an example. Okay. I have 1 lakh employees in my company, and I have a requirement to take life insurance policy on all these 1 lakh employees. I approached a XYZ insurance company. I have approached XYZ insurance company, a small insurance company which has come up only recently. Okay. So when I approached them and asked them that I need an insurance policy for 1 lakh employees of mine, he said that I am not boss, I'm not that big. Okay. Instead, if you want, I will take this entire 1 lakh insurance policies by adding one more insurance partner, say Reliance. X along with Reliance will approach this company of 1 lakh employees and take the insurance. That is, it is accepting insurance business. Okay. In such case, these two participants are called as co-insurers. Co-insurers. Okay. Co-insurers, and then they take up the insurance value. Okay. Next, there is one more concept called reinsurance. What does reinsurance mean? Now, take same example. I have approached a company for 1 lakh employees to insurance, for insurance. And when I approached XYZ, he said, yes, I will take it. Yes, I will take it. But if you observe, I as a company, I do not have that stamina to withhold 1 lakh insurance policies. For example, in such case, what I do is I sell some of this insurance. That is, I will give this insurances to Reliance, and ask him to bear the risk. This is what I call it as reinsurance. Okay. That means if a company takes the entire responsibility and gives it to somebody for insurance, then it is called as reinsurance. If two insurance companies together approach another person and take insurance contract together, then you call it as co-insurance. Okay. In this, you have multiple words which come out. With respect to co-insurance and also reinsurance. Now, in co-insurance, the possibilities are co-insurance accepted or co-insurance ceded. What does ceded mean? Ceded means you are transferring. Okay. If you say it is accepted, that means you are accepting co-insurance. Okay. Ceded means you are foregoing, you are transferring it to somebody. Okay. Same way reinsurance also, in reinsurance also you have something called as reinsurance accepted and reinsurance ceded. Okay. Ceded means you are giving it to somebody. If it is accepted, somebody gave it to me. Somebody gave it on reinsurance to me, and reinsurance ceded means I gave it to somebody. Okay. So this is how you have various types of insurances. Okay. Next. Now, what does gross liability mean? One second. Yeah. What does gross liability mean? Gross liability means, gross liability means this is a liability which is calculated for your life insurance business through an actuarial valuation. Actuarial valuation. What is actuarial valuation? There is a course called actuarial valuation where on qualifying that you are called as actuarial valuer. Okay, actual valuer, and he determines what is the amount of risk. Okay, risk involved in the total business what you have taken. Okay, then that value is what I call as gross liability. Okay, so considering all these terms, we prepare something called as I told you, technical account for identifying your revenues from your business and expenses from your business. Everything are incurred there in itself, and finally you arrive at something called as your profit from all your insurance business. Okay, and then you take it to P&L account. You take it to P&L account, which is called as basically your shareholders funds account. Shareholders funds account, in which from technical account you transfer all this money, and then from thereafter you go ahead with deducting your operating expenses, depreciation, provisions, and all. So finally what you end up is what we call as profit available for appropriation. Okay. Now, and apart from that, balance sheet also would be prepared for your insurance companies. So let me not bother about trouble you with all that formats now, formats and all, because the formats are already available in your institute material. There is no real knowledge sharing from my side to you. Instead, what we would do is we will go ahead to non-life insurance business, where you will have your financial statements, just like how I told you for life insurance. Same way for non-life insurance also, you would have some financial statements to be prepared. So like how I told you now, for non-life insurance business, you have broadly three categories. One is called as fire, marine, and others. Others in the sense general. Okay, general insurance. Okay, so for either of these cases, you are supposed to prepare two parts of financial statements. Financial statements are of two parts. One, determining your profit or loss. Second is balance sheet. Okay. Now, balance sheet is similar, just the same format what you have for life insurance. The same format is supposed to be used for this non-life insurance also. Technical account will be slightly different. Okay. P&Ls, if you observe again, as I told you, there are two parts. One is called as technical account, and second is called as P&L account. Technical accounts you are supposed to prepare independently for each of the business what you have. For example, if you are running in 10 varieties of general insurance business, for all 10 varieties of general insurance business, you are supposed to prepare separate 10 technical accounts. Okay. Only then go ahead with preparing your P&L account, and then go ahead with balance sheet. Okay. So this is broadly what you have. Now, there is a concept called unexpired risk. In non-life insurance business, you have a concept called unexpired risk. What is this unexpired risk? Unexpired risk is basically for the amount of risk which is still due for the non-life insurance company. The IRDA comes up with guidelines stating that X amount of percentage should be taken as your percentage of provision on your unexpired risk, as your unexpired business. Okay. So what standard, what IRDA says is for marine insurance, you are supposed to provide 100% of current year's premium. 100% of current year's premium is to be provided as your unexpired risk reserve. Okay. When it comes to others, for any others, that means be it life, be it your general insurance, or be it fire insurance, whatever it be, it is going to be 50% is what is supposed to be provided in case of other businesses. That is, so if it is marine insurance, you are supposed to provide 100%. If it is others, you are supposed to provide 50% of premiums collected during the year. Okay. So the entire amount is supposed to be stated as unexpired risk reserve. Okay. A separate reserve should be created for the amount whatever you have collected in the current period. Okay. So this is with respect to unexpired risk reserve which you are supposed to create during the financial year. Okay. Apart from this, there is also something called as gross liability. Gross liability. Here, gross liability will be specifically told from case to case. For each type of business, he says at the end of the question, stating that gross liability should be provided for 40%, 50%, some number he comes up with. Okay. So whatever he tells you, such amount is to be provided as gross liability. Clear? So broadly, this is the background as to what you have in insurance companies, accounts. Okay. So with this intro, let us get into the problems. Problems are very easy in insurance company accounts. Okay. So let us take up the problems and solve them right away. Okay. Okay. So take out the first question. I'm showing it on the screen for you. Yeah. Please look at the first question. Modern insurance companies fire insurance division provides the following information. Show the amount of claim as it would appear in revenue account for the year ended 31st March 2011. Okay. So it has given you two types of businesses. One is direct business and second is reinsurance. Reinsurance is also there. Okay. Claim paid during the year is 35,30,000 and 8,20,000. Claims received during the year 3,20,000 in reinsurance business. Claims payable on 1st April 2010, 8,23,000 and 58,000. 31st March 2011, 8,75,000 and 87,000. Claims receivable at the end of the year. Claims receivable, again, opening and closing balances, it's given. For direct business, you don't have anything. For reinsurance business, on 1st April, it is 85,000 and 31st March 2011, it is 1,42,000. Okay. Next, expenses of management. Expenses of management, 3,45,000. Okay, includes 38% of 38,000 surveyor fee and 42,000 legal expenses for settlement of claim. Okay. Now this part is something not part of the question. Okay, don't bother about it. Okay, so this is the question what is given to you, right? So what are you supposed to do here? Yes, he is asking you to prepare your revenue account here. Okay, so revenue account is what he's asking you to prepare. Let us prepare that. So by while preparing revenue account, how much of amount of claim is supposed to be made is what he's asking you to prepare. Okay, so let's do it on an Excel sheet. Let's do it on an Excel sheet. Okay, so I have opened an Excel sheet in which I'm going to show you how this is supposed to be presented. Okay, so what you're preparing is net insurance, net claims, net claims. Okay, incurred is what you're preparing. So prepare it, take it for 3 columns. I'm taking particulars and 2 amount columns. One is inner amount column, second is outer amount column. Okay, so to start with, you have claims paid on direct businesses or no? Claims paid on direct business. How much is it? How much is it? It is basically, in the question he says 35 lakh 30,000 is given. Claims paid is 35 lakh 30,000 which is given. And then what else do you have here? What else do you have? You have incurred 38,000 of surveyor fees and 42,000 of legal expenses. So these are also claims only for me. Okay, so I'm supposed to consider all these as part of direct business. Okay, so it is basically 35 lakh 30,000 which is directly given as claim. Along with that, you have incurred 38,000 of surveyor fees and legal fees of 42,000. Okay, so all these together are supposed to be taken as on outer column, which comes to 36 lakh 10,000. Okay, and to that add reinsurance. Add reinsurance. Now reinsurance, how much do you have here? Reinsurance, if you observe in the question, he says reinsurance claims during the year are 8 lakh 20,000. Yes or no? So 8 lakh 20,000 is the claims what you have for reinsurance, and to that you are supposed to add outstanding at the end of the year, the current year. So at the end of the current year, you have an outstanding of 1 lakh. How much do you have outstanding as on? Uh, Outstanding claims payable are going to be 87,000 for us. Okay, so you are supposed to add those 87,000 of claims payable, and on opening you have 58,000 of claims payable. Okay, so 58,000 if you deduct and 87,000 if you add, you get how much amount of claims is supposed to be payable at the end of the full year. Okay, so claims received on reinsurance is 8 lakh 20,000, to which add outstanding at the end of the year. End of the year it is 87,000. Okay, less outstanding in the beginning of the year. at the beginning of the year. Okay. So it is 58,000. 58,000. Okay. So net of all this, is basically you are supposed to pay. You are supposed to pay because of your reinsurance business. Okay. So net of here, what you get is 36 lakh 10,000 plus 8 lakh 49,000. All put together, 44 lakh 59,000 is the amount which you are supposed to pay. On this, you are supposed to add. You're supposed to add claims received. Claims received on reinsurance business. Okay. Sorry, deduct. Sorry. Deduct. Less claims received on reinsurance. Okay. Claims received on reinsurance is how much? 3,20,000. Okay. To this, you are supposed to add outstanding at the end of the year, which is lakh and 42,000, and less outstanding at the beginning of the year, which is 85,000. Okay. 85,000. So net of all this, what you have, net of all this, what you get is 3,77,000. Okay. So when you deduct all this, what you get is, so 44,59,000 minus 3,77,000, you have a net amount of 40,82,000. Okay. 40,82,000. To this, you are supposed to add your outstanding direct claims, because these are your own claims which you are supposed to pay at the end of the year. Okay. Add outstanding claims at the end of the year. Okay. Claims at the end of the year, it is given as 8,75,000. Yes or no? 8,75,000 is the amount of outstanding claims at the end of the year. Okay. So total is going to be 8,49,000. 49,57,000. And from this, deduct what is opening, less outstanding claims at the beginning of the year, which is 8,23,000. Okay. 8,23,000. So net claims incurred. So what does net claim incurred mean? What is that I am going to finally I'm supposed to pay out? Okay. Net claims incurred is going to be 41,34,000 is the amount of net claims which I'm supposed to pay. Clear? So with this, one question is done. A simple revenue, net claims calculation question is done here. Okay. So let us pick up the next question. Yeah. So second question is from a marine insurance company account. Okay. You are supposed to prepare a revenue account. Okay. So please read second question. From the following information of Big Fish Marine Insurance Company Limited, prepare revenue account as per regulations of IRDA for the year ended 31st March 2011. Premium received, premium outstanding on 31st March 2011, premium paid on reinsurance ceded, claims paid, estimated liability in respect of outstanding claims on April 1st, 2010, on 31st March 2011, expenses of management, including 45,000 of surveyor fees, 65,000 of legal expenses paid for settlement of claims, interest and dividend, gross, income tax on the above, profit on sale of investments, commission paid, and then balance of fund on 1st April 2010 was 18,50,000, including additional reserve of 1,80,000. Additional reserve has to be maintained at 10% of net premium for the year. Okay. So this is the question what he has asked. Okay. Let us now solve how this has to be done. All right. So please see the question. He has given you details of all premiums collected, claims made, commission supposed to be paid, all expenses he has given you, and he has asked you to provide for some, insurance risk reserve is supposed to be created. Every detail is provided. Okay. Now, what is supposed to be done is you're supposed to bring them into a proper structure as given in revenue account. What is the structure? You're supposed to bring in all revenue items on one side at the top, and all expenses and claims and expenses in the next stage, and then whatever profits you get, you're supposed to showcase them there. Okay. So this is what's expected from you. This is what's supposed to be done by us in the examination whenever a revenue account is asked. Okay. So let us do that in a sequence. Okay. Now, for insurance business and banking business, the most important aspect is formats. Okay. So insurance, second question. We are now preparing revenue account. Okay. Revenue account for the year ended 31st March 2011. Okay. Revenue account for the year ended 31st March 2011. And what are the columns you generally have? Particulars, notes number, and amount. Okay. Notes and amount. Okay. Now, what all items do you have? You are supposed to put it in a sequence. Premium earned is supposed to be taken. Premium earned net should be calculated. Okay. Premium earned is supposed to be calculated. So let us first take it as note number 1. I'll go down some 10 lines down and prepare note 1. Okay. Note 1, premium earned. Okay. Premium earned net. Okay. Now, how do I calculate this? I have some amount of premiums received, and there are some amount of premiums which I'm supposed to receive as also. There are some amount of premiums which I'm supposed to receive as on 31st March, and there are some reinsurance which are seeded. That means I have given out that insurance business to somebody else. That is supposed to be deducted, and there is some unexpired risk reserve which I'm supposed to adjust for. Okay. So I'll do that part. Please see. So first take premiums received. Premium received. Premium received is 18,75,000 is what your premium received is. To that add outstanding premium as on 31st of March 2011. Okay. So here you have 1,25,000, right? From this deduct whatever amount you have given out to somebody. That is, you have seeded some business now. That premium also you are supposed to give away to that party, to that insurance company. So less premium on reinsurance seeded. Reinsurance seeded. It is basically 2,28,000. Okay. So I'll take it as negative. At this juncture, what you get is the premium what you have earned. However, on this, you are supposed to transfer some amount for unexpired risk reserve. Okay. Okay. So on this, less transfer for unexpired risk reserve. Unexpired risk reserve, which I'm supposed to calculate. I'll do it as part of working note 1. Okay. Working note 1. Please see. And on taking that, what I get is called as net premium. Net premium is what I get. Okay. This minus, sorry, it's going to be this minus whatever transfer for unexpired risk reserve is there. Okay. So that is what I get here. Now, let us calculate for the amount of risk reserve. Okay. So I'll do it here itself. Working note 1. Please note, note number is different, working note is different. Okay. No, working note number 1, calculation of change in unexpired risk reserve. Calculation of change in unexpired risk reserve. Okay. Now you are given some unexpired risk reserve at the beginning of the year. Okay. So URR at the beginning of the year is given. At the beginning is given, including any additional reserve. He has mentioned that. Okay. Which is 18,50,000. Okay. 18,50,000 is given, less reserve for unexpired risk. Unexpired risk. Okay. Now here, how do I calculate? How do I calculate? Now look at the amount of unexpired risk what you have. If you observe, you know that your unexpired risk is 17,72,000. Yes or no? 17,72,000 is the amount of unexpired risk what you have. Okay. Unexpired amount of insurance premium what you have collected. That means for this entire 17,72,000, you need to provide 100%. Yes or no? Okay. You are right now in marine. Okay. Marine 100% is supposed to be provided. So that is equal to 100% of 17,72,000 is supposed to be provided. Okay. So that is, I'll take it in inner column. 17,72,000 is supposed to be provided. Okay. And additional risk reserve, he says, 10% has to be provided. Okay. 10% provided. Okay. Additional risk reserve is supposed to be 10%. 10% of 17,72,000. Okay. Additional risk reserve is going to be this into 10%. Okay. 17,72,000. Okay. So the total amount which you are supposed to deduct here is going to be both of these together. So by doing this, what I get to know is I'm supposed to find out how much additionally I should provide. Okay. So opening balance what I had was 18,50,000. Closing balance what I want is 19,49,200. For maintaining 19,49,000, I just need to create additionally 99,200. If I create this, it's sufficient. Okay. So unexpired risk reserve to be created in premium earned. Okay, is going to be 99,200. So this is what I want. I have to create. Okay. Now here it is going to be 99,200. So by doing this, by net premium, what I can take is 16,72,800. Okay. So this value I can directly take in my revenue account. Okay. So it is revenue account. What I take is 16,72,800. Clear? Now, apart from premium, you also have some interest, dividend, rent, and all which he has given. Okay. So all those you can take. Interest, dividend, rent, etc. What all are given are 1,65,250. Okay. 1,65,250 is the amount of interest, dividend, rent, and all. Apart from this, there is sale of investments made on which you have got a profit. Okay. Profit on sale of investments. Sale of investments. It is given as 46,000. Okay. 46,000. And the total comes to, total of all this comes to 18,84,050. Okay. From this, you are supposed to deduct your claims. Okay. So less claims. So till now, what you have done is only your revenues. Okay. Your premiums earned and all. Okay. Now what you're doing is you're taking your revenue expenses. So claims incurred is supposed to be taken. Claims incurred Okay, again, this is also net only. Net is what we are supposed to do. Let us take it as second, okay, second note point. Okay, so let's go down, prepare note 2. Note 2, claims incurred. Okay, net. This is what we are calculating. Okay, claims incurred. If you observe, what are the claims paid by me? Claims paid are basically 10,54,000 are the amount of claims which I have paid. And apart from that, I have also paid surveyor fee, legal expenses and all on settlement. Yes or no? So add surveyor fee, which is 45,000. Okay. Add legal expenses. Add legal expenses, which is 65,000. Okay. 65,000. So all these together, what you have is 11,64,000. 11,64,000. Apart from this, you have outstanding claims. Add outstanding claims at the end of the year. End of the year, how much you have? You have 2,25,000. And deduct outstanding claims at the beginning of the year. Okay. Less outstanding claims at the beginning of the year. Beginning of the year, how many outstanding claims do you have on 1/4/2010? You have 1,89,000. Okay, minus 1,89,000 you have in the opening. Okay, so net claims incurred net is going to be all these together, which is 12 lakhs. Okay, claims incurred net is basically 12 lakhs, which I'm supposed to take in my revenue account. Okay, so claims incurred net I'm taking back, which is 12 lakhs. Right now, apart from this, you know that there is a commission which is incurred. Yes or no? So take commission. Commission is 1,94,000. Okay, and then you have operating expenses. Which are supposed to be prepared as a work note. Note is supposed to be prepared. Okay, so you just have expenses of management as 4,85,000, and you are supposed to deduct the surveyor expenses because you have taken it as part of your claims incurred. Yes or no? So net off is what you are supposed to take in. Okay, what we are supposed to take. What I'll do is I'll directly take it here. In fact, you are supposed to prepare it as a note only. Even in fact, commission also you are supposed to prepare note 3 and operating expenses note 4. This is how it is expected to be done by you. Okay. Okay. I am directly taking because the adjustments are very minimal. Okay. So here operating expenses is going to be, it is given as 4,85,000, which is inclusive of your surveyor fees and legal expenses. So deduct those two items. Those two items are basically 45,000 and 65,000. Okay, 65,000. So net of what you get is 3,75,000. This is the only amount which you are supposed to take as your operating expenses. Okay, on deducting all, on considering all this, total of all this is basically your expenses. Okay, total of all this is basically your expenses, right? Then what you get is basically your profit from marine business now. Okay, profit for marine business is total of revenues minus total of expenses. Total of expenses, which comes to 1,15,050. Okay, so this is expected to be done from you for marine. Okay, so what is important for you here is, while calculating premium received, You have calculated change in unexpired risk reserve also. How much did you take? It is 100% which you have taken, but in the question he says additional risk to be considered is for 10%. Hence you have taken for that also. For that also you have additionally taken. Okay, these are something additionally being done by us in your marine account. Okay, so that's it. Now let's move ahead to last question. Last question. So please see the third question. Metro General Insurance Company submits the following information for the year ended 31st March 2014. Okay. Premium received, premium paid, claim paid during the year, claim payable, claim received, claim receivable during opening and closing, expenses of management, commission on insurance accepted, insurance ceded. Okay. The following additional information are also available. Expenses of management include 45,000 and 55,000 of legal expenses for settlement of claims. Reserve for unexpired risk is to be maintained at 40%. The balance of reserve for unexpired risk as on 1/4/2013 was 28,40,000. You are required to make revenue account for the year ended 31st March 2014. Okay, so this is the question. Now, if you observe, it is exactly a replica of what we have solved. The only difference is in the problem what we solved for marine insurance, the amount of URR what we have taken is 100%. Here what he is asking is 40%. Here what he is asking is reserve for unexpired risk reserve. What is supposed to be maintained is 40%. Except for that, you do not have any difference at all. You have got all types of businesses here. That is, you have direct business, you have reinsurance business, you have premiums received, premiums paid, claims are received, claims are paid. All these are same. Only difference is your instead of marine insurance, this is basically a general insurance business, and he has stated specifically that 40% is the URR supposed to be maintained. Okay, I am sure that you guys can do it on your own. I'm sure you guys can do it on your own. If at all you do not understand, also you anyways have the the sized answer reference is given where the question is picked up from. You can see through that question and solve the answer. Okay, so with this we will conclude insurance topic. Fairly speaking, this is the very easiest topic. So we will finish this off here. So tomorrow's session we will finish off banking and your debentures. Okay, debenture accounting. Okay, so with this we'll conclude. Thanks guys. Good night.